Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. A few props for today. A couple heart blocks will likely be handy, and you can have those kind of near the top of the mat. And then either a soft block or a blanket to sit up off of or to pad the knees. And when you're ready, we'll get started on the back. We'll come down to a butterfly shape. So you can come to lying down on the back, feet together. Have the knees nice and wide apart. And if for any reason this shape doesn't work for you, then any other comfortable, symmetrical, quiet shape you prefer. I'm going to use the heart blocks to support the legs here. You can have the feet closer to the body or further away. You can have the hands on the body or anywhere beside it. And take your time to get settled in here. And see if there's any part of the body that needs a little attention. And then once you can settle in, you can start to find your stillness. You can close the eyes down if that feels comfortable. Taking these first couple minutes of your practice to check in with your body, with your mind, with your breath. And start to notice what's going on. Once you've checked in, as you feel ready to, gently invite the breath to deepen. And each time you inhale, exploring a sense of space in the body. And each time you exhale, grounding and softening here. And if you need a little more time in stillness, you're welcome to stay as you are for as long as you need. And when you do feel ready to start to move the body, you can reach the hands down and collect the knees. You might draw both of the legs up on towards the chest and maybe give yourself a rock side to side or a few circles, one direction, then the other. And if you were using props, you can move them out of the way and we'll extend the legs long down the mat. We'll extend the arms long up the mat. And keeping the hips where they are now, walk your feet towards the bottom left-hand corner. You might cross right ankle over left, and you can walk your arms towards the top left corner. You might take the right hand into the left. And then see what feels good here. If it feels better to turn the head a little bit, then check in with the neck, the shoulders. If you prefer to bend the elbows, that can also be a good option here. And take a few deep breaths, breathing space into that whole right hand side. As you feel ready, making your way back to center. And we'll take the stretch on the opposite side, so feet towards the bottom right, maybe left ankle crosses over, arms towards the top right, maybe left hand in the right. And then notice what this side feels like. Notice that whole left side from the left wrist down to the left ankle. As you're ready, coming back to center. And from here, take the next few breaths. We'll meet in a tabletop position. If you want, you can roll down to one side. You can rock and roll up to a seat first. And if there's a stretch you need along the way, then go for it. And take about 5 breaths, and we'll meet in tabletop. And setting the hands up roughly underneath the shoulders when you do arrive, knees roughly underneath the hips. If the knees are sensitive, feel free to add some padding here. And when you feel ready, with an inhale breath, let the belly sag down, lift the heart space. And then as you exhale, press the hands down and round in, chin towards the chest. Inhale breath, open up. And exhale breath, round in. And keep going your breath, your pace. And if there's anything extra your body's asking for, feel free to add on. Last couple. Your next inhale, returning to a tabletop position, and then from here we'll lower the elbows down to the floor. Elbows stay roughly underneath the shoulders, hands can be together, or arms can be parallel. Press the forearms down, press down the elbows, tone the shoulders, stabilize them, and then step one foot to the back of the mat and then the other for a forearm plank. Now if you need to lower the knees, then go for it, except now they'll be behind the hips if they're lowering. And keep the feet active, keep the legs active, keep the spine tall. Gaze is towards the hands, towards the floor. And then make sure you're still breathing here. A couple of deep breaths. Awesome. Wherever you are, stay for one final inhale, lengthen. And as you exhale, lower the knees, then the chest down to the floor. And now from here, bring the chest down and then cactus the arms. And we'll keep the right arm cactus, but bring the left fingertips to the floor, left elbow towards the ceiling. And then just check in with that right arm that the elbow and the shoulder are roughly in line. There is the option to do this with an extended arm as well if that works better for you. But from here, start to press down through the left hand and start to turn your chest open towards the left. Now, the left leg might stack on top of the right. See what's happening with the head and neck. If you want to add a prop in, go for it. Maybe you can rest the head on the floor. And then we're looking for a sensation through that right side of the chest. So if you're feeling something pinchy in the shoulders, maybe that's not the right shape for you. So you can always come down a little bit, or you can try it with the extended arm. And from here, if you want to add on, you might step that left foot behind you or in front of you. You might even float the left leg and see what feels good for that left arm as well. Sometimes bringing it up for a half bind or having it somewhere to the floor for balance can feel good. And take a few deep breaths into the chest. Left hand to the floor. If it's somewhere else, slowly roll down onto the chest. And you can cactus both arms, maybe rest the forehead for a moment, and give the hips, the shoulders a little wiggle or rock. And then when you're ready, we'll set up for the second side. So left arm stays as it is, right fingertips find the floor, and then start to turn the chest open towards the right. Now check in here. The side may need something a little bit different, so just listen to the body as you go in. Find something comfortable for head, neck. Notice where you're feeling the stretch here. And the same options, you can stay here, you can float the back leg or step it. And see what works best for the right arm. If everything is secure through head, neck, and shoulders, maybe you want to float that as well. Awesome. As you're ready, right hand finds the floor, lower all the way down, and then pause for a breath or two, see what needs a little movement here. Awesome. And then we'll stay on the belly a little while longer. And from here, bend that right knee and then reach back with the right arm to catch the foot, looking for a quad stretch. If the foot is far away, then a strap might be handy here. So you can start to hug the heel in towards the bum. It's okay if the knee lifts up slightly. Notice what you're feeling through the top of that right leg, the left arm for support wherever you need it. And gently releasing the right foot as you're ready. And we'll switch over to the second side. And bending the left knee, catching the left foot. And again, notice what this side feels like. You can keep the pelvis grounded. It's okay if the knee lifts a little. Notice the quad, the hip flexor. Breathe into whatever you're feeling. And releasing the side as well as you're ready. And we'll come up to a tabletop position, set the hands under the shoulders, press yourself up. And then from here, we'll transition to downward facing dogs. So you might take the hands a little bit further forward in space and spread the fingers nice and wide apart. Maybe grip finger pads into the floor to stabilize the wrists. And then tucking the toes, lifting the knees, press the hips up and back. You can pedal the heels out, check in with that back line of the legs, maybe pausing for a breath or two per side. You could also wag the hips or play with where the weight is. If there's anything you need to adjust in your shape, any of the proportions, find the version of the shape that feels the most stable for today. Awesome. As you're ready, take an inhale, bend the knees deeply and look forward. And with an exhale, walk the feet towards the hands and find a forward fold at the top of the mat. And keep a generous bend to the knees for this first one. Make sure that the low back is happy with the shape. Maybe a little rock or a little movement here. And find the arm expression that feels best. You can let them dangle or maybe find a bind. And check in with head, with neck, with shoulders. See if there's anything that can soften a little bit there. Awesome. As you're ready, take an inhale, find a halfway lift, lengthen. As you exhale, sigh it out. And then twice more. Inhale. Let it go. Last one. Now a little different. Inhale, halfway lift. With a flat back, as you exhale, bend the knees deeply and we'll find chair pose. So hands might stay on the legs if you want them there for support, maybe hands to prayer. You can also extend forward or up. So find your version of the shape and breathe into it. Notice if the shoulders started to climb a little, see if you can find a little softness there. Notice the weight on the feet. Is it even between front and back of each foot or from left to right? Awesome. Take one last inhale, one last exhale. Now for the transition, inhale, come all the way up. And as you exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen. Step the left foot to the back of the mat. Lower the knee down to the floor. Now you can pad the back knee as needed. When you're ready, come on up. If things feel a little wobbly, feel free to take that right foot a little further to the right. And then from here, cactus the arms. Awesome. So elbows roughly in line with the shoulders. Inhale, breath, open the heart space, elbows back slightly, gaze lifts. And as you exhale, round in and bring the forearms towards each other. Inhale, open up. And exhale, round. And take about 4 more, make them as large or as small as you need. Last couple. Inhale, open up. And exhale, hands to the floor, step to downward facing dog. And take a moment to set your down dog. And then when you're ready, take an inhale breath, shift forward to plank, and lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, take the hands forward and slightly to the sides. Inhale breath, peel the heart open, strange cobra, and soften down. And 2 more. Hands under the shoulders. Inhale, come to your tabletop, and back to downward facing dog as you exhale. Now lift the left leg up behind you with an inhale, and then step the left foot just outside of the left hand, lowering the right knee to the floor. So this time more of a lizard lunge, so left toes can point forward or out to the side. And then give the hips a little movement here, side to side. And just checking in, seeing if there are any sticky spots. Maybe switching it to circles when you're ready. Maybe 2 or 3 clockwise, then 2 or 3 counterclockwise. And lastly, maybe a little movement front and back as you come forward, lifting the gaze. And as you shift back, perhaps you're extending that left leg a little bit. A few more with your breath. And the next time you come forward, pause. And then heel toe, left foot to center, step the right foot forward, and we'll meet in a forward fold. And see what expression you want from your fold. All the same options as the first round. I'm going to interlace the hands at the low back this time. You can join me, and if you are, the hands can stay at the low back. You can also reach them up towards the ceiling. And a little movement might feel good here as well. Awesome. Releasing your mind if you have it. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen, and sigh. And twice more. Last one. Inhale, halfway lift, pause. Exhale, bend the knees, chair pose. All the same options for the arms. Find the expression that feels best. Find a depth that feels appropriate. Make sure you're still breathing. Last couple deep breaths. All right, inhale here. And stay, exhale. All the way up as you inhale, stretch tall. And hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And step the right foot to the back of the mat and lower the right knee to the floor. Low lunge, second side, so come on up when you're ready. Maybe left foot to the left a few inches. And then once again, check in, find your base, find your balance. Arms come up to a cactus. Inhale, breath, open up. And exhale to round in. A few more, your breath, your pace. Last full round. Inhale, open up. And hands to the floor, step to downward facing dog. A couple of breaths, choose stillness or movement here. All right, when you're ready, inhale, breath, forward to plank. Exhale, breath, lower all the way down to the floor. Untuck the toes. A little different this time. You can come back to Strange Cobra, or this time have the hands tented by your sides. And once again, inhale, breath, lift the heart space, lift the gaze. And exhale to lower. And 2 more. Hands return, and tabletop as you inhale, and downward facing dog as you exhale. And the right leg lifts with an inhale, and then step the right foot just outside the right hand to lower the left knee down. And again, check in with the right toes this time, forward or to the side a little bit, and give the hips a wiggle side to side. Notice this side if there are any sticky spots, anything you want to look out for or accommodate. A few circles in one direction. And a few in the other. And then a little movement front and back. Inhale, open the front body, the chest. Exhale, hips back, right leg extends any amount. And the next time you inhale, come forward. This time pause. A little different. Lift the back knee up. And then step the left foot just outside the left hand, sinking the hips, and we'll find a squat. So for squat, feel free to keep the hands down. If this doesn't work for knees or hips, you can also come to a seat, maybe butterfly legs. You can also use blocks to make yourself a little seat here. If the hands can leave the floor comfortably, then go for it. Maybe hands to prayer. Create a sense of stability through the pelvis, a sense of length in the spine. If it feels okay to close down the eyes, then go for it. Notice your breath. Notice where the mind's at. And then as you feel ready to bring the hands back to the floor, you can lift the hips, step one foot back and then the other, and we'll find downward facing dog. Give yourself movement for a few breaths or choose stillness, and child's pose is a good alternative as well. We'll take about 5 breaths here. All right, from your downward facing dog, inhale, lift the left leg up behind you, and then step the left foot forward between the hands. Now hop the right foot a little bit closer, just close enough that you can have the heel down. Right toes can point mostly forward as well. And then from here, just find your balance and come on up. And we'll set for warrior one. So you might choose to take the feet a little bit wider apart. That will help with balance. And then find the angle for the back foot that feels the most stable for you. The pelvis is level, both height-wise and also front to back. When you're ready, you can bend into that left knee. Your version of this shape, if it feels okay to reach the arms up towards the ceiling, go for it. You can also cactus the arms here. Notice the low back as well. If it feels like a deep back bend, you might want to find a little bit of a hug through the low belly. And keep the feet actively pressing down. As the body gets used to the shape, you might find you have a little more room, so if you want to go a little deeper, then go for it. All right, we'll keep the shape of the legs the same. Take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, cross the right arm underneath the left, and hands can find the shoulders, or if you prefer eagle arms, backs of the hands or palms might meet here. Now take an inhale breath, lengthen, maybe lift the elbows a little. As you exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Left shoulder can land on top of or just inside the left knee. You can let the hands be heavy, you can let the head be heavy. Find this version of a humble warrior. If this is too much on the body, feel free to release one or both hands to the floor for a little bit more support. Notice where the pelvis is as well. There might be a tendency to swing the bum out towards the left. So if you find that happening, see if you can press down through the feet a little bit more. Keep the hips roughly in midline. All right, when you're ready with a strong belly, take an inhale, come all the way up, and then pause for a moment, find your balance, release the arms. Maybe give the hands a little bit of a shake out. From here, you can extend the front leg towards straight. We'll head towards pyramid. Some people like to shorten the stance a little bit for this. Let's start off, pelvis is relatively even. I'm going to interlace the hands behind the back. You might also choose to take hands to hips if that feels more spacious for you. And find your interlace, take an inhale breath, lengthen the spine. And now as you hinge, start to make your way forward. And you might pause at the halfway mark, or you can pause when you feel the low back start to round. It's okay if you're a little more upright here. And it's also okay to bend the knee a little bit if that helps you access that stretch better. One more option, again, would be to release hands to blocks or to the floor if your spine needs a little more support. If you feel okay with interlaced hands, you might think about extending the elbows, maybe lifting fist up off the low back. This is an active pose, so the legs are pressing down here, the spine is tall, the chest is proud. Make sure you're still breathing. All right, you can release your bind first. Take an inhale breath, come all the way up, reach the arms tall. And as you exhale, bring the hands to the floor and step to a three-legged dog with that left leg in the air. You might bend the knees here and stack the hips a little. You can keep the leg extended, maybe some circles, but check in to see that your hands are active, that the shoulders feel relatively balanced. All right, you can square the hips once again. Now, a little bit different from here. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, hug that left knee in towards the chest. Now, pivot the back heel to the floor, right toes point right, and see about lifting that right arm up towards the ceiling. Now, left knee can stay tucked here. Lots of work for the core. You could play with extending it. If you're feeling a little crazy, you can touch it down. Take 3 deep breaths wherever you are. All right, the next time you exhale, right hand down, left knee can lower, right knee lowers, and press to child's pose. And find your version of the shape. If you need a little movement, go for it. If you want to add some props in, go for it. And if you need to rest somewhere more active, then feel free to come back to down dog. If you want movement, cat cow, or you can flow. In about 5 breaths, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. So see if you need a little more time here. Maybe there's a shape you want to find along the way. And be wherever you need to be. Awesome. When you do find your down dog, when you feel ready, take an inhale, lift the right leg up behind you, and then step the right foot forward between the hands. And scoot the left foot a little bit closer, ground the heel to the floor, and then don't worry too much about your shape. Coming up first, and we'll set it here. So start off squaring the pelvis, the chest towards the front of the room, and then you can bend that front knee right away. Find the angle for the back foot that accommodates this shape the best. So for some people, toes will be turned out a little bit more or more in. Likewise with the front foot, sometimes we can get a little bit hung up on exactly where the toes are pointing. You might even experiment, see what it feels like to turn the foot in a little, to turn it out a little. How does that affect the rest of your body? And choose whatever feels best. Arms can be by your sides, prayer up towards the ceiling. You can experiment with closing the eyes and challenging balance here. Find your breath. And heading towards that humble warrior. So take an inhale here. And as you exhale, take the left arm underneath the right. Same option for hands to shoulders or to interlace the forearms. If you're feeling wobbly, I forgot to say it earlier, you can also widen your base. It might help for this shape. And take an inhale breath, puff up. And as you exhale, hinge from the hips, coming forward. And this time, right shoulder on top of the knee or just inside of it. Maybe hands get heavy, maybe head is heavy. And again, notice where the bum is. Is it pointing straight back behind you, or is it pointing out towards the right? And see what you can do to balance that out. All right, tone the belly here. Inhale, breath, press the feet down, come all the way up. And then when you're ready, you release the arms. We'll extend that right leg towards straight, and you might shorten your base a little bit here as well. Interlace the hands behind the back if you're coming with me. Switch all the fingers by one so it's a slightly awkward clasp. Inhale, breath, lengthen the spine, puff up the chest, and then exhale, start to make your way forward until about that halfway point, but you can always stop sooner. Now check in with the pelvis, energetically encouraging that right hip back. Hands can stay at the low back, or if you like, you can start to lift fists up towards the ceiling. Sense of length from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Sense of the feet actively pressing to the floor, anchoring you in space. A few deep breaths. All right, strong belly, inhale breath, come all the way up, reach the arms up, and then hands to the floor, three-legged dog with that right leg in the air. You might bend the knee, stack the hips, circles or stillness, find your movement here, and check in with the hands, a sense of stability, equally active on both sides. All right, square the hips. Take a deep inhale. Right knee towards the chest as you exhale. Pause, and then pivot the left heel to the floor. Right hand stays actively pressing down. Maybe the left arm reaches up. Your version of side plank here. Take 3 deep breaths. When you feel ready, left hand lowers down. Bring the right knee down, then the left. In child's pose. From your child's pose or wherever you're resting, you can pull the body through and we'll lower down onto the belly. So take a moment to set yourself up. Awesome. And then from here, we'll set for bow pose. So for bow pose, you can bend one foot or one knee and catch the foot, and then do the same on the other side. Now, stay low to begin with, but imagine that you're pressing your pelvis to the floor, and see that might lift the knees up a little bit. And check in with the shoulders, the hips, the knees. Make sure everything feels secure in the shape. And then when you feel ready, press the belly down, take an inhale breath, and lift the heart space, the chest. At the same time, kick the feet into the hands and see what happens. Find your version here. Make sure you still have your breath, whatever it looks like. If you feel yourself going red in the face, then maybe back out. And then one final option is to add a little bit of a rocking, almost like a massage for the belly. So just see what that feels like if you choose to explore it. Now you can stay here for up to 4 more breaths. Whenever you feel ready to come out, you can lower the knees down. Maybe you want to stack the palms under the forehead, or you can turn the head to one side. Stillness, or maybe a rock of the hips side to side. And then from here, any way you like to get there, roll your way onto your back. Now, if you like to have a block nearby, then go for it. And we'll set up for a twist here. So you can take the hips over to the right a few inches, extend that left leg long, and then you can guide the right knee across the body. And finding your twist, you might rest the block or the knee onto the block if it's nearby, or if there's a different twist that you'd rather take, if there's like the more traditional 2-knee twist, if that works better for you, then go for it. And see where you want the right arm, cactus, T. Maybe you want it to the floor overhead. Maybe gaze turns away from the knee. Before you return to center, bring the head back to center. You might lower the right arm down and then unravel the legs back to center as well. And we'll set up for the second side. So if the prop was helpful on the first side, then you can take it down to the right now. And then from here, with the block on the right, scoot the hips to the left a few inches, extend the right leg, and then you can use the hands to guide that left knee across the body, maybe resting it onto a prop or 2-knee twist. You might see this side may need something a little different. Right arm to or left arm to cactus, or to the floor overhead. Maybe gaze to the left a little bit. A smooth, steady breath. Bringing the head back to center first, releasing the left arm, unraveling the legs back to midline. And then from here, bend both of your knees. We'll lift the right foot up and place it on top of the left knee. For your thread the needle, you can stay here. You can reach through, catch hold of the left hamstring, maybe of the left shin, and then see what feels best here. Does it feel good to kind of brace the right elbow to the inside of the right thigh? Do you want to explore a little movement side to side? And check in with that right hip and see what it needs here. Check in here. Maybe you need a little more time and you can stay. Otherwise, release the left foot down, bring the right foot down as well. Maybe a little bit of a windshield wiper side to side if you need something. And then when you feel ready, we'll set up the second side. So left to ankle over the right knee and check in. If something feels a little different here, if you want to modify, then go for it. And all the same options for the arms, for the left elbow to brace the left thigh, stillness or movement. Right foot returns to the floor as you're ready, and then the left. And again, maybe a windshield wiper a couple times side to side. And from here, bring your knees in towards your chest and wrap the arms around them. Lift the head towards the legs as well. Curl into a ball. Give yourself a little rock, like you're massaging the back body here. Maybe up and down the spine a few times, mindful of the neck. Awesome. And then building up some momentum, coming up towards a seat. From here, we'll set up a butterfly shape. So if you like to sit up off of your soft block, then go for it. You can have the feet close to the body or a little further away, see what feels best for hips, for spine. And then I'm going to offer the yin style shape. So especially as a counter shape to bow pose and some of those pyramids that we were doing, it might feel nice to round the upper back. If you prefer the more traditional hatha fold, then go for it with a tall spine. But if you're coming with me, then hands anywhere that feels good in the lap. You can start to round from the neck, let the head be heavy, and then start to round the upper back, the mid back, even into the lower back. And find your version of the shape, and you can use props for support. If the floor is a little far, maybe you want to rest your elbows on blocks or something, go for it. Maybe something to support the head as well. Let the body feel heavy and settled. Notice what your breathing's like here, and if you feel like you've lost that connection with the breath a little bit, then maybe you want to back out if what you're feeling is too intense. When you feel ready, use an inhale breath, the support of the hands to lift yourself back up. And then we'll transition to another seated position, maybe cross-legged if that works for you. You can have the legs extended or something else. And then from here, take a moment, settle the hips down, lengthen the spine, soften the shoulders, the shrug muscles. Awesome. Now from here, take the head down towards the left ear towards the left shoulder. We're looking for a stretch through the right side of the neck and into the shoulder here. So if this feels like enough, then you can stay. You can also reach the right hand to the floor, and that will change the stretch a little bit. Notice what's happening with the chest. See if you can keep a sense of space there while you stretch up through the shoulder. Another option is to take the left hand and without pulling, just adding some weight to the head to deepen the sensation through that right side of the neck. Find your expression of this, and then imagine you could breathe space into that whole right hand side. Each inhale for space, each exhale to soften. And very gently release the head if you're holding it. Let the chin roll to center. And then lift and stack the head on top of the spine. And just pause for a moment. Notice what the two sides feel like. And just check in. When you feel ready to set up the second side, take the right ear towards the right shoulder. And again, notice what this side feels like. It may need something a little different to the first side. And the options are there if you want to reach the left fingertips down towards the floor. And check in with the chest, the back body, the spine. The option as well to take the right hand now to add a little weight to the head. And gently releasing the head once again, bringing the chin towards the chest, and then lift and stack the head on top of the spine. And check in here, notice both sides of the neck, notice the shoulders, maybe you'll roll them a couple times. And keeping your movements gentle, you can lower down onto the back any way you like to get there. And we'll shut up for Shavasana. And choosing any comfortable symmetrical shape to rest in, any arm expression, any leg expression, any props that help you feel more comfortable here. If you need a little movement to help you settle, then go for it. If there's anything you need to adjust with your clothing, removing glasses or a watch or anything like that, let your body start to feel heavy as you settle yourself in for your rest. Let your breathing return to its natural breath. gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. And rocking the head side to side, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles. Maybe the arms reach up overhead and give yourself a full body stretch, maybe a yawn, maybe a wiggle of hips and shoulders. And then maybe the knees collect into the chest one last time. Give yourself a hug, a rock. And see how you'd like to transition up to your seat. Maybe you'll rock and roll, or maybe you'll roll down to one side for a few breaths. And take your time to transition. There's no rush. And eventually, when you do come up, making your way to any comfortable seated position. And if you were sitting cross-legged when we did the neck stretches, then choose your awkward cross of the legs just to keep things even for the body. Settling the hips, lengthening the spine, softening the shoulders. And taking a scan of the body from the feet up to the head and checking in to see what everything feels like. The hands can stay where they've landed, or palms can come to touch in front of the heart, maybe above the chin and towards the chest. Thank you for sharing your energy today. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. And again, my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.